In the wrestling world, the people are represented by two separate but unequally important groups. The wrestlers and bookers, who literally do all the hard work, and the fans, who endlessly nitpick and overanalyze everything they do. These are their stories.
Welcome to and Order, the Wrestling Booking Unit, the only wrestling podcast on the planet that's recording live almost immediately. Double or Nothing. Sort of, I guess. I am your host, Detective Mark Sparks, and I'm joined, as always, by my partner in crime fighting, well, one of partners, District Attorney Vincent Cafe. What's going on, man? How are you?
I've discovered that I can make my own pistachio pudding. Now, it's not really pistachio pudding.
Well, I mean, you can. You just go to the store and buy pistachio pudding.
But you put pistachios in chocolate pudding, and it tastes nothing like pistachio pudding.
Yeah. That ain't pistachio pudding, man. Also joining us from up north, audio only this week, Mr. JLB. What's going on, man?
It goes on. It goes on. I am not making my own pistachio pudding or any sorts of pudding, but I am here to talk about a long pay-per-view that is Double or Nothing.
Nobody wants to see that, DFA. I mean, seriously. That stuff actually looks like stuff that I saw in my toilet not too long ago.
Oh, snap.
That make it better?
Nope, makes it closer. I mean, they looked like little baby corn, so, you know. And we're getting off to a great start on this podcast, aren't we?
Oh.
So, yes, this is the review of AEW Double or Nothing 2021. Technically the third edition of Double or Nothing, which kind of surprised me when I heard that, because I was like, wait, no, third? But I did the count. Well, you're right.
Yep.
As always, we are going to do these reviews in our new format, which is not going match by match, instead going worsts then bests. So there might actually be matches that we don't actually talk about much on this because they were neither the worst nor the best. We will probably bring up most of them at least once, though. So before we get into talking about that, I always like to take this time to remind people that Raw and Order is part of the Tatnisco Podcast Network. So head on over to tatnisco.com and click on the link for network up there, and you can see all the other shows there and listen to them, and then come back and watch our next show. So,
yeah.
But we will kind of go ahead and get into this. Oh, you know, I went ahead and put it up there. You can also click that like button if you're watching this right now on Facebook or YouTube, or even if you're watching the replay. Click that like button down there. Helps us out. Make sure to subscribe. It's over here. Subscribe to the podcast as well. And that way you get notified when we post the new episodes, go live again. We go live late
over there.
Yep, we go live late, and so I understand if you can't watch us live. Just the way it works best with our schedule, but that's why we keep the replays up and we put the audio podcast up. You can find all the links in the link tree, all linked down in the doobly-doos. So, but we will go ahead and get started right off the bat. Out of the night, worst match of the night.
Whew.
This is a tough one. I'm going to be upfront with listeners out there and everything. There was not a match that I would have called bad. Like I'm sure Jim Cornette's out there throwing a fucking hissy fit right now about the Stadium Stampede match.
JLB kind of is too, to be honest with you. I wasn't crazy on this Stadium Stampede. I thought it was a bit long. I thought it was too edited. And I get that the Stadium Stampede generally is edited anyways, but this one just felt a little too much.
bit long, maybe.
I think it was maybe just a tad too long, and I was just kind of done with it. I don't know. Wasn't a fan.
I enjoyed it. It might be up there for my worst match of the night overall, but it had so many good little moments in it that kind of keep it in the win column for me.
For me, it's
like-
Miro. Miro and Lance Archer is the worst match of the night. It's a good match.
Yeah,
Really
and
good match.
For us to say that's the worst match of the night is a little.
To tell you, if you haven't watched this pay-per-view, go watch it.
Yes, do go watch it. It is very, very worth it. I can understand what JLB is saying about the Stadium Stampede being too long. Here's the kind of the problem. Enough of it was obviously pre-filmed, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it's really easy to tell that because when they were originally out on the field, Jericho's beating up on MJF. His arm wrap came halfway undone all the way up to the wrist and was just hanging down like a yeti. I mean, mummy. And then they walked inside, and suddenly his arm wrap was perfect again, which means the inside bits were at least partially pre-filmed, and I'm willing to bet almost entirely pre-filmed.
Yeah.
I'm betting they went live with the in the arena thing. I'm sure they pre-filmed the rappelling down the scoreboard thing too. That's just not something that you want to worry about doing live.
Mm-hmm.
And then they come in, and I think that part out in the main part of the arena was probably live. And then when they all went inside, then I think it went to pre-taped footage. And here's where the issue comes. When you do pre-taped like that, you don't have the ability to say speed things up for most of it, right?
Mm-hmm.
So if the show was already running long, they start this match, they already have a certain amount of match that they have to show. They don't have that option of speeding it up a bit.
Right.
I don't think you would be saying it was too long if it hadn't already followed a 45-minute long
main event.
I don't know if it was 45-minute long, but it was
a very long main event, triple threat.
If it hadn't followed that, I think you wouldn't be saying that it was so long. But
that's possible.
The fact that it followed that long main event and then made the whole show go long, because it went like we were originally saying it would take until 10:30 our time, 11:30 your time, and it blew past that.
Mm-hmm.
With this match. So
yeah.
And that's where I think that might have played into it feeling so long. To me, it didn't feel so long to me. It hit almost all the right notes. I think last year's Stadium Stampede did it a little bit better in this respect. The contestants split up and kind of traded off, right? So there was a time when Matt Hardy was fighting with Santana and Ortiz, and then suddenly Matt Hardy's fighting with Chris Jericho, and you know what I mean? And with this, once they split up, they stayed split up and stayed paired up to the same people for the rest of the night. And that
and maybe that's why too. Yeah. Because that was kind of stupid too. I liked at least they changed it up a bit and they were all kind of together. They split up and then they'd all come back into the stadium. But this was just like, screw the stadium. We're just all over the building now. Sort of ordeal. So.
Yeah. But I mean, they did that last year. It's just, again, they split up, but then merged back together again and then split up in different ways. And with this, it was just, Sammy Guevara went off with after
Sean Spears.
John Spears. Yeah.
And
That chair scene was freaking awesome, though, when he was waiting with him in the
Wait-
chair room.
waiting in the
That's
chair room.
hilarious.
And I feel there were enough of those little scenes that I really liked. Them waiting in the chair room, the FTR waiting in the nightclub, and then Conan being the DJ, which is a big throwback because if you weren't aware, before they came to AEW, when they were in AAA and Impact Wrestling, they were Santana and Ortiz were part of LAX and managed by Conan.
Yeah.
So they have a history with him from there. So that was fun there. The little things here. I'm sad because Wardlow got paired up with Jake Hager, and we all know my feelings on Jake Hager. And I really was hoping this could be a Wardlow coming out party for a bit. And well, I mean, he did good, and there were some good scenes in it. As is like the scene in the kitchen where they stood up against the obviously fake wall and then ran through it. I'm like,
right.
I feel like it still was a Wardlow coming out party because he was dominant over Jake for much of the. This is what would happen in a ring stuff. And I think that was, I also appreciate when they pair up sizes similarly, but not identically, but similarly, in an effort to help encourage believability.
But here's the deal. To me, it would have been a better coming out for Wardlow if instead of him being paired up with Jake Hager, it was him versus Santana and Ortiz. And so big guy versus two guys, and he's able to hold his own with them for at least some of it. I'm not saying he couldn't have spent part of it with Hager, but he literally spent the entire fight with Hager.
Yeah.
I also my own one complaint that I'll side with JLB on for this match was Santana and Ortiz were the only people who went for pins through much of the match.
Right? Which was kind of freaking weird. And why would you arrest Sammy? And then was it maybe
MJF went for a pin?
I said for most of the match.
Oh, okay.
For most of it. MJF went for a pin towards the end. But it was like Wardlow had Jake Hager down multiple times and just went to walk away from him.
Well, yeah, that's because big dumb guy don't understand rules.
And that's where this is not a coming out party for him because he's not supposed to be big dumb guy not understanding rules. He's supposed to be big dumb smart guy.
Yes.
Anyway.
If he'd have just grabbed one of these, he'd have been as cool as MJF was.
Yes, totally as cool as MJF.
Anyway, no, the only reason I say Miro and it was a very good match. It stunk like big dude versus big dude. And I don't typically talk that way, but I usually like my big dude matches.
I enjoyed most of that match. When watching that match, there were legitimate times I thought Lance Archer was going
to win. Yeah, I did too.
And I can say that about almost every of the matches tonight. There was only one match that aside from the Casino Battle Royal, right? Because nobody knows who's going to win that. There's no on that. Aside from that, there was only one of the main matches that I really kind of felt like I knew who was going to win and was right on it.
And that was Omega.
Nope. I mean, even Omega I knew and I was right, but there were times during it that I thought, cripes, Orange Cassidy might pull this out, especially towards the end. We'll talk about that match a lot later.
Yeah.
We will have thoughts on that ending. But no, the one match that I was like, I think I know the ending. And even then at times might have second thought myself was the Hikarushita versus Britt Baker match. That was the only one.
There were several times I thought Hikarushita was leaving with that title.
There were some times I thought it, but like going into the match, I was like, Britt Baker's leaving. This is the coronation of Britt Baker. That's all this was. Now, do I wish Hikarushita had won? I think Hikarushita deserved at least a week with live crowds, defending the belt in front of live crowds, defending the brand new belt that she just got awarded on Friday in front of live crowds.
No, what they need to do is peel that off of Britt and be like, no, you haven't held it for a year. Yeah. That's what it takes to get this one.
Yeah, you get the old little tiny one. This is the one you get for a year.
And then
this is like the gold watch that you get when you retire.
So yeah, I don't know that there's any other matches we would even remotely consider.
I do not disagree with you there. It's yeah. I mean, all the other matches were stacked, you know. I guess I'm going to throw out one other match that might at least be worth talking about in worst match of the night. I don't really think it was worst match of the night, but
Bucks.
Worth at least bringing it up. Cody Rhodes versus Anthony Gogo.
Oh, geez, I thought that was okay. I thought it was
I'm not saying it was worst match of the night. I'm just saying it's at least worth bringing up here because Cody had been shown recently to be the guy who helps put over young talent, right?
Yeah.
And while he made Anthony Gogo look good in this match, when I was watching it, I looked at my wife and I was like, there's no way Cody's losing this match. And I knew that right before the match started because I had a couple things that suddenly dawned on me. Number one, they had turned it over this last 2 weeks from Nightmare Factory versus Nightmare Family to British guy versus American guy.
Right.
And Cody then came out a couple weeks ago and said, I'll be fighting as the American Dream that night because now it's British guy versus American guy. And I was like, there's no way that a pay-per-view being held in Florida in the United States on Memorial Day weekend is going to let the British guy win. And I was right.
But that just makes it predictable. That doesn't make it a bad match.
No, and I'm not saying it.
There were no bad matches.
There were no bad matches. There was no bad matches at all. However, this match definitely, at least, if we're saying the Miro versus Lance Archer match deserves to be talked about as worst match of the night, this match wasn't head and shoulders above that match.
Well, no. The thing I will give Miro and Lance Archer, I think the issue with both of those matches is they're poorly built storylines, not bad storylines. They just haven't been built like the rest of them had been. Mm-hmm. And it's because they're mid-card storylines. The other piece to the Cody stuff is that there's no more advancement for Cody. We know Cody cannot be the world champion. And I don't want to overinvest in the world championship, but I also don't want to underinvest in it. And a wrestler who cannot be the AEW champion is always a mid-carder.
Yeah. That's where I think I know what Cody was doing with the whole if I lose, I'll never challenge for that belt thing 2 years ago. In the end, though, I think it was a short-term thinking solution to a problem.
Yeah, I think he needed to be a contender, and he could never win the title. You can easily do that. He just needed to be a contender. On the Miro and Lance Archer, it's sociopath versus sociopath. Okay.
Well, and the thing with the Miro versus Lance Archer one is until a month ago, Lance Archer was a heel.
Yep.
And then they did a really quick and yet not obvious face turn for him. Just like, oh, by the way, he's a good guy now. But he still comes out to "Everybody Dies," his slogan, which that's such a face thing to come out to, right?
Yeah, well, yeah. I mean, that's what I say when I'm like, "Hey, friend," I'm like, "Everybody dies."
Yeah, just so you know, everybody dies. I said that to my daughter when she first was born. Just so you know, everybody dies, baby. I did not say that to my daughter. Don't call CPS on us. But so, and I think that played into both of these matches is not just poorly built storyline, but short-term built storyline.
Yeah, and I think that was the part that played into them being poorly built. Is there wasn't a lot of time invested.
When we're talking about Hikarushita versus Britt Baker, that storyline's been building since Hikarushita won the belt a year ago, right? Yep. Sting and Darby Allin versus Ethan Page and Scorpio Sky. Been building since Ethan Page entered the company.
Yep.
The tag team, Jon Moxley and Eddie Kingston versus Young Bucks. Since Young Bucks turned heel like a month and a half ago, it's been building, right? But the Cody Rhodes versus Anthony Gogo, the Miro versus Lance Archer one, they all just kind of got put together in the last, I don't know, couple weeks, 3 weeks maybe. And that's where it's a little tough there for me, right? So I think both of those matches, and even I'll give JLB the Stadium Stampede, all three of those matches, there are legitimate reasons to consider them maybe worst match of the night. So I don't think we're going to have a consensus on worst match of the night overall.
But a C is not, it's not a failing grade either. So
no, I don't even think they're C's. I think they might be B minuses at worst.
Yeah, they were good matches. Just it's the encompassment of the whole series, I guess.
Mm-hmm. So we will go ahead and move on to most predictable moment of the show. And I think there were predictable moments on this show. I mentioned Britt Baker winning over Hikarushita. As much as I'm a Hikarushita fan, and I wanted her to win, but I did not see any way she was until the match came on. Yes, there were times during it that it looked like Hikarushita might pull it out, which is a testament to the performance of both of these girls, right? But did I, going into this night, think there was any chance in hell they weren't putting that belt on Britt Baker? No. So for me, that's most predictable moment. But you could say Kenny Omega winning was most predictable moment. You could.
I would say the attack on Jericho's arm every time that MJF had the chance was most predictable. It had nothing to do with the outcome of the match. It was not. No, what was not predictable was MJF not being involved in the finish. Mm-hmm. I thought that was an unpredicted moment. I would have predicted MJF to be involved in the finish.
I almost wonder if we were talking about them trying to cut time. I almost wonder if the finish wasn't originally planned different. I almost wonder if the finish was planned with MJF in the ring instead of Sean
Spears. Maybe.
But
they did the chair spot that was identical to the chair spot.
Yeah. And so it obviously that Sean Spears was supposed to be in the ring as well. I just kind of feel like there was more stuff planned for in the ring before the finish. and they're like, nope, let's just get straight to the finish, Anyways, but that's pure speculation on my part. It could have been that this was the planned finish. I do have to say, while we're talking about the finish of that, I said it months ago, and I got pushback from you guys on this. I'm going to say it again because I still believe, in my mind, fucking Sammy Guevara's 630 is best in the game.
Yeah, it's crazy.
And I know DA Fabe doesn't like that. DA Fabe's a fan of Ricochet.
I'm terrified he's going to hurt himself. I'm terrified he's going to hurt himself.
And Ricochet's is good. I don't know about a best in the game, but certainly top 5.
Ricochet's is good. I just every time I see Ricochet's doing it, I don't think he's going to complete it. And I know that's where DA Fabe is going, because he says, "Oh, I think he's going to hurt himself with it."
I think everybody, like, here's the deal: you're landing on another person on your back. Yeah. I'd like you to have a little more control over that movement.
Mm-hmm. And Sammy Guevara has the control over it. Sammy Guevara almost over-rotated tonight. He lands flat on his back. There's not that moment where his head's about to hit. He gets all the way through there and lands flat on his back. It's a thing of beauty to me.
Yeah.
And I know DFA is not as big of a Sammy Guevara mark as I am.
No, I'm not.
I'm a firm believer Sammy Guevara is a future star. But
yeah, he's going to be a top mid-carder in AEW for the rest of his life. That's really cool.
I see him being the Rey Mysterio winning the belt level. So anyway,
I see you being wrong. That's cool.
I see you seeing.
Cheers.
Seeing you seeing. I don't know what I was going with that. Anyways, most predictable moment for you, JLB?
I don't know. I would probably. I remember there being a predictable moment in the
Young Bucks Super Kick City.
No, I was kind of like going with, like, the fans at one point were chanting, "This is bullshit." And I think that is during the Kenny Omega match with the Don Callis thing. So maybe it's not so much predictable on AEW's part, but them kind of playing that storyline like, hey, yeah, it's no DQ, is just kind of predictable in just the regular wrestling fashion. And like, AEW, what are you kind of doing? Like, I get they were telling a story because Omega and Callis are just hardcore heels and they'll do anything to win, but it's just going down that slippery slope of why we don't like WWE with certain finishes. Although they didn't finish it like that, it was still kind of why even attempt anything with this, So AEW for being predictable in the sense of what everyday WWE is. With that move, I thought that was kind of annoying. I was like, guys, no.
I get what you're saying. I disagree there for this reason. If WWE did it, it would have ended in either a disqualification where Kenny Omega walked out still the champion because of it, or it would have been absolutely burying the other two people with it, and neither of those happened. That this was a classic heel finish to a match where the heels cheated to win, distracted the ref, even so far as putting their hands on the ref, hurting the ref,
right?
But that's where I kind of disagree on it, because I think if WWE would have done it, it would have been a schmoz finish, right?
That's fair. Yeah.
And so trying to to put WWE, in the same closet with this. I don't think don't get me wrong. It was predictable in this respect. I'll give you that because it's heels doing heel stuff to win. Right.
Which again, that's the whole classic heel thing to do anyways. It's not like WWE thought of that. It's been a wrestling thing since whatever.
Yeah.
But I was just so scared it was going that route, and yeah, I don't know. I'm terrified they're kind of gonna start doing stupidity with that, which is what made AEW so good. That they don't do DQ finishes,
See, and I'm of the mindset that they need to do a few. I've been thinking about this a lot. I talked about it a couple weeks ago, or maybe it was a month or two ago. I can't remember. AEW has only done one DQ in their entire almost 3 years existence. Well, 3 years now existence, right?
Mm-hmm.
One time it was one of the falls in a 3-fall Iron Man match was Pac
DQ.
actually DQing again Kenny Omega.
Mm-hmm.
But it was not.
That was in the tag team. That was in the tag team with Moxley.
No, it wasn't in
tag
the
team
it
with
was,
Moxley. It was a best of 2 out of 3 falls. Him and Moxley were on a team against Omega and Hangman.
No, it was a singles match.
Are you sure?
Yes, I'm 100% sure because he did that, so he got the advantage. I think it was. I'm almost positive it was against.
I think it was that singles match with
Singles match
it was
versus
him and
Omega.
Omega. Mm-hmm.
I am like 99%.
Okay. Well, then it also happened in that Moxley match.
Nope, that was not a DQ.
The tag team. There wasn't a DQ, but oh no, he was pissed off because he thought Moxley was going to cost him the 3rd fall with a DQ. Okay, yep.
Like I said, there's only been one DQ in all of the AEW matches. But my point is, when you don't use a DQ every once in a while, it stops being a threat, right? So when the referee comes and says, "Oh, you better stop that or I'll DQ you," you go, "Well, then do it."
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, especially when they're doing as much talking about champions advantage as they do.
Mm-hmm.
They need to use champions advantage at some point. And they can use it and have the guy have Khan or Cody come out and restart the match.
Yeah. And that's my point is, now here's the deal. I understand their problem, their worry. They don't want to get in the WWE habit of having DQs all the time and schmoz finishes all the time. Right? That's one of the things we rail on WWE so much for, is that all of them are.
Yeah, it's the opposite of WWE. It's 100% of it. You can't so deeply not want to be WWE that you walk away from everything else. But I mean, they did have a roll-up win tonight, so I suppose.
Mm-hmm.
I would say the other predictable thing again is Super Kick Fest.
Yeah.
And Moxley kicking out of it. It's kind of predictable.
Well, the V trigger though was pretty awesome. I didn't think they were gonna actually get a win. Not the V trigger, but their little
BTE triggers.
Yeah,
that's
Detroit V triggers.
BTE triggers.
And I didn't think Moxley was gonna lose out of that, so I thought that was pretty awesome.
Yeah, I did feel like they were setting up for the great heroic comeback from Moxley after getting hit by a bunch of those, that he was going to somehow or another kick out, and then he didn't. And I was like, but I was not surprised that the Young Bucks retained. So
no, but the fact that they kept me guessing, though, was pretty sweet, because I'm like, oh, Young Bucks is winning, and then I'm like, or are they? And then just a lot of back and forth.
Yeah,
really fun match.
Yes. So So yeah, those are predictable. I mean, I guess you can say predictable moment. Number 21 was a surprise entrant in the Casino Battle Royal, but we didn't predict who.
I would have never guessed Leo Rush. God, he looked great, didn't he?
Yeah, for the minute and a half he was in the match.
Yeah,
fantastic,
that was shocking. And someone random got him out. Christian got him out. I was like, Christian, really? Yeah. Like, you got to get out Leo Rush? Like, why? What's the point, bro? Like,
instantaneously, I want Leo Rush versus Pac. Instantaneously, I want that.
I can think of probably half a dozen AEW wrestlers that I really want to see in a good match versus Leo Rush right away.
For sure.
Leo Rush versus Jungle Boy.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Put that in my veins. Heck, Leo Rush versus Marco Stunt could be a absolute banger of a match. Little tiny Marco Stunt looking even tinier next to Leo Rush. Because Leo Rush ain't a big guy, man.
No.
Suddenly here's tiny Marco Stunt, and you're like, whoa, Leo Rush is a giant. But that's my point is we couldn't have predicted. None of us could have predicted Leo Rush for that.
I guess the other predictable thing might have been Christian coming back, and I want a title shot when you win that title.
Yeah. I guess predictable moment in the Casino Battle Royal. Someone gets thrown out, but not over the top rope, and hangs out on the outside for a while, and then surprise comes back in. Just not at the finish this time. It was earlier, in the case of Powerhouse Hobbs. But
yeah, Hobbs was out there for a while, and so was Christian technically. Christian not as long as Hobbs, but I was like, guys, what are you doing? And then I was scared they were pulling a Randy Orton for Matt at the beginning. When Matt got hurt, I'm like, oh god, Matt's winning because he's gonna come in at the end, kind of thing.
Well, and the Matt Hardy thing was one of those things that I think helped set up the overall for the night, with him promising Private Party that he would reduce the cut that he takes from them if they helped him win. Made me really think, Matt Hardy might have a shot at winning this for that storyline, which I wouldn't have thought Matt Hardy had a chance of winning this without that storyline. But happy that Jungle Boy won. That's going to be an interesting Jungle Boy versus Kenny Omega match down the road. But the only downside is I don't see Jungle Boy beating Kenny Omega right now.
Well, it doesn't have to be right now anyway. Apologies. It doesn't have to be right now anyways, though. It can be gets a future title shot. So it can be, during when Kenny Omega is in the downhill, when he loses all the other titles, and then Jungle Boy ultimately makes him lose the AEW
yes
title.
And no, because they are very careful to word this. This isn't a Money in the Bank like briefcase that he can cash in at any time. They specifically say it makes him number one contender.
Oh, stop.
So,
so next Friday
is coming. Probably not next Friday, but the match is coming sometime within the next month or so, I would say. Probably before the next pay-per-view, definitely.
I like how they are setting up that whole Friday thing. So they're doing a bunch of Friday Night Dynamite, so you can kind of get ready for the Friday night that's going to be the Rampage, and realize that there's wrestling on Fridays for TNT. So I thought that was
There've been wrestling on Fridays for a long time, man. Where you been?
There has?
I meant for TNT.
Yeah. Good wrestling?
Oh, I didn't say good wrestling.
Oh, okay.
I just said wrestling.
Okay.
I mean, it's absolutely head of the table wrestling. Where have you been?
Oh, wow. But
I will say this. It's better than what they're putting on Monday night.
It's valid.
True. Anyway.
So we will go ahead. We don't have a consensus on most predictable, but we got some predictable moments. So we will move to Botch of the night. I got nothing. I don't really remember anything that was a full-on botch.
Oh,
I'm kind of
trying to remember who was setting up the move. They had the other person between their legs. Gosh dang it! There was a botch. I can't remember what it was. It was in the Cody match, which would make sense.
Botch of the night is the commentators just constantly saying that a Gogo has visual disability like 5,000 times. He could see he lost 70% of his vision. And I'm like, guys, why are you over announcing this? So is he going to win and he's overcoming his disability? Or is Coney going to look like a douche because he's beating a guy with 70% of his vision diminished? Like, what are you doing here?
No, so obviously there are a boatload of memes and mean things in the political atmosphere about our current president in the United States, Joe Biden. Literally, JR sounded like a Joe Biden meme the entire night. Confused, lost. Yep. It was bad.
Didn't know where Bach was from. Said it was from Wales.
Yeah, it was just the whole night. JR was confused a lot, and I'm maybe not confused, but he's not processing all the information at one time. Yeah. So much so that he's like, "Thanks for putting me on blast on air." To
Excalibur,
dude, we were all putting you on blast at home. You are the worst part of the announce team.
And he did it so politely too. He was like, JR, I don't mean to say anything, but he's actually not from here. He's from there. And he's like, thanks for putting me on blast. He's like, well, I just wanted you to know so people don't put you on blast on Twitter. You know? Yeah. So he kind of had like a thing. I'm like, good.
It's not like Justin Roberts said it like 10 minutes earlier. Hailing from Newcastle upon Tyne. He's a bastard. Pack.
Yeah. Just yeah. JR is
I've said this since AEW started that as much as I love hearing JR on commentary, he is the weak link on that commentary team, and he really needs to.
I mean, the hard part with it is now we're watching Michael Jordan play for the Wizards. Like, you're not the GOAT right now. He's the greatest wrestling announcer of all time, and he has the credentials to show it. He's not even close to the greatest in the game right now. Mm-hmm. He's really far from the greatest in the game right now. Mm-hmm. He's better than if I were to sit at the announce table.
Yeah, you're really bad at intros.
Absolutely.
They can't ever remember which British town Pac's from.
I can't. I would almost need something like notes in front of me before I said something like that.
Like, I don't know, little computer monitors or a notepad.
Yeah.
I've got a botch of the night that's not directly related to wrestling. We gave WWE a lot of crap for this during the move to Peacock. That Peacock did not have pause function.
Neither did AEW.
And AEW did not have it on BR Live here. I don't know if they did in other places, but on the BR Live through the Android TV app I was watching on, BR Live that DFA was watching on, no pause, no back, no rewind, no fast forward through commercials or whatever, nothing. Which when you're a family person with in my case, a 3-year-old who needs to be put to bed at some point, not having a pause button means you miss something.
Yep.
And we were pretty vicious against Peacock for it, and it's only fair that we bring up BR Live, step your game up. There's no reason in this day and age of streaming that there's not a pause function for your live stream event, right?
I feel like they usually do, though. No, this might have just been a mishap.
It might have been something they changed. I can't remember last time. It's the downside with the events being 3 months apart.
Mm-hmm.
I don't remember whether there was pause last time or not. I feel like there was, and so the fact that there wasn't this time, but either way, we put WWE and Peacock on blast. It's only fair for us to blast AEW and be our live for this. There's no reason, no excuse in 2021 for your live stream of any sporting event to not have pause and rewind function.
Straight up.
And then by association, fast forward function to help you get caught back up again. Right.
I will say this was an active enough show that it would have been very hard to get caught back up.
Indeed. I mean, it would have
introductions would have been the only spot to do it.
Introductions, there were a few promo packages that you could have caught back up.
They were few and far between, though.
But there weren't a lot, so you're right. There weren't a lot of them. But not having that option at all meant at the end of I believe it was the Miro versus Lance Archer match, I had to take a 3-year-old up and put her to bed. And that means I missed the start of the Hikarushita versus Britt Baker match, which means I missed Hikarushita's entrance. And so I got down and I was really confused at first because I didn't see the typical Hikarushita red and black outfit. She had a new ring gear and I was confused for a moment. Who's that?
Yes, you were.
Who is that? Oh, that's Hikarushita.
Oh, it's Hikarushita. Yeah.
But so that's my botch of the night.
Fair enough.
Step up your game, BR Live.
Yeah, well, I'll just go with that. I can't honestly remember any botches.
That's the deal. Is I in terms of the actual in ring, I just don't remember any. And maybe if I would have sat and take notes and stuff, but I wanted to enjoy this, so I didn't want a tablet of paper in front of me the entire night. So we will go ahead and move on to overhype.
Hold on.
You had a botch?
Maybe a tad little botch when they threw the snake bag. I thought that was silly.
Silly.
I thought it was implied animal abuse. We know it wasn't animal abuse, but I know it was implied animal abuse. So,
well, at first I thought he said that. I thought he was shaking it like this because, like, oh, it's not a snake in there, and then he goes and throws it, and all the commentators were like, "Oh my god, like, what are you doing?" And I'm like, "Oh, so there is a snake." I was kind of stupid, but whatever.
Well, in fairness, in America today, one of the easiest ways to get the public to hate you is
abuse an animal.
Abuse an animal, right? It's the whole reason, like, everyone in society was totally fine with John Wick killing 100 people.
No joke. They hurt his dog.
Yeah. It's not that his wife died or anything. They hurt his dog. Right? Fuck them all.
That's valid. John Wick would have not have worked in 2000.
I think it might have.
Yeah.
I think it probably would have, because here's the deal: is Americans always have shown a lot more empathy towards animals than they do towards other people a lot of the time.
Well,
that's because people are dicks. No.
Yeah, that would have been a very different Doors song, though. People are dicks. They're dicks. When people are dicks, when you're alone,
dicks.
They're just dicks. They're dicks. People are dicks.
Oh,
when you're a dick. When you're a dick.
Well, where's this going? You need to just go ahead and when you're dick. What?
Yeah, that's all I got, man. So we're moving on to overhype of the night. This one's also a tough one, if you ask me, because I don't know which match I would say was over. I mean, I guess maybe Stadium Stampede was overhyped because it was a Stadium Stampede match. I don't know what else I would. I mean, maybe the Cody Rhodes versus Anthony Gogo match was a bit of an overhype. Because
I mean, that promo just takes the cake of overhype. right away when Cody Rhodes did his pro-American promo, bringing back that, I'm like, oh God, bro, no matter what happens in this match, you've ruined it with this cheesy, stupid promo. Not because it's pro-American or anything. It's just, it was so cheesy. It was like, bro, come on. Like,
when
what are
you're
you
a
doing here?
dick.
Gonna have to design that as a t-shirt.
Anyway, yeah, I could agree with both of those. I do feel like, I don't know. I kind of feel like the lack of Impact performers is probably the overhype of the night, but it's overhyped the wrong direction. It's like underhyped. Like Impact is in a feud. I don't know. Is it just Kenny? Like, are we legit? That's just Kenny?
Good
It's just
brothers.
a funny thing.
Good brothers?
Yeah.
Kenny?
So far,
Just
that's
the
all they've
elite?
really done. Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like there's not enough there.
Yeah,
Like-
you need some kind of invasion angle to happen,
Yeah,
and I
I
hope
agree.
that's the plan.
Chris Jericho on his podcast, or maybe it was on an interview, explained their reasoning behind it. And a lot of it just simply came down to, when you're the big dog, you don't gain anything by inviting the little dog onto your show. The little dog gains a lot by inviting the big dog onto their show. So Impact gains more because they're the little dog, despite having been here for almost 20 years.
But you just took their championship.
No,
Like,
I agree. I
Come
would,
on.
if I were them, I would have had Moose show up. Since he is the next in line to challenge for that, I would have Moose show up. Even just have him in the stands. You know what I mean? Just like I'm scouting you.
Oh, by the way, that crazy, this might even be put into the botch. That botch that happened where the person got thrown over the rails the first time, not the Darby Allin one, but the one before. Were those legit fans?
Oh, I'm 900% certain that those were plants.
Okay.
Because I was like, oh my God.
No, it was during the Miro match.
Yeah.
And here's the reason. I think I'm fairly certain is they focused on them in the crowd before the Lance Archer was thrown over. Miro and them standing there, and they made sure to frame them going boo, boo. What real fan does the double thumbs down? Right?
I see it in the Thunderdome.
Because there are rules in the Thunderdome. Real fans go boo. We're gonna get censored for that, I think.
Fuck yeah, we will.
Yeah, fuck yeah. And so that's part of why. But even more specifically, just that they almost highlighted, look at these fans right behind them.
Yeah.
And then Miro threw Lance Archer into them. They also were, all of them, well-built men. That wasn't like man, woman, teenage boy, whatever there. It was just a row of
Men.
well-built men.
Men that were fairly stacked, yeah.
And then here's the other reason. I think this was the biggest reason. I'm 900% certain that they were plants there. Is they stayed down selling it for the entirety of when the cameras were on it. They literally just
really?
they're like,
okay. Well, yeah, they just had a Lance Archer thrown at them.
Yeah, but they weren't rolling around. They weren't going, oh, this hurt. They were just like literally just laying still,
like they were
like
out.
they were dead. And that's the sort of thing that you tell Nightmare Factory, trainee, say, hey, sit in the front row. They're going to throw Lance Archer onto you, but you need to make sure once Lance Archer's there, you're not taking any of the attention away from him. Just lay there until the cameras are off.
Fair.
But that's another thing. They did go to that well twice the throw the wrestler into the crowd thing twice in one night. And I think that's the sort of thing that works better sparingly. Do it once. Pick your time. If you want to waste it on the Miro versus Lance Archer one, use it there. But then don't go to it again, or a couple matches later during Scorpio Sky and Ethan Page versus Sting and Darby Allin. I personally would have not done it in the Lance Archer versus Miro match and saved it for Ethan Page yeeting Darby Allin out of the ring. Which I am sure we will talk about in moments at some point. So
yes.
We will move on to worst performance of the night.
Ooh. I'm gonna say something unpopular. And it's, again, not that it was a bad performance. But I'm gonna say that Moxley is the worst performance of the night. This is the guy who was most recently the last person to hold the AEW championship, and he lost. Or maybe it's Eddie Kingston, or Eddie. Is it Eddie Kingston that was his partner? Eddie, yeah, Kingston, yeah. Maybe it's Eddie Kingston that was the bad part. Just as a whole, the Young Bucks are going to super kick you. So I'm buying into kayfabe here, and by buying into kayfabe, I just don't see Moxley getting his ass handed to him the way he did.
I would probably agree with Moxley too. Just that whole Hulkster moment too was kind of cool, but it was also like, come on.
Yeah. I can't necessarily disagree overall. I understand what they were telling with it. What they wanted to tell was a stone cold pass out moment with him.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. That's the storyline that they were trying to do. But because the Young Bucks don't do submissions, well, they do, but they're not known for them.
Yeah.
They didn't have that. And that's where they kind of fell apart there.
Yeah.
I don't know. Like I said, I did not at almost any point during that think that Moxley and Eddie Kingston were actually going to win. There were a couple points where I was like, oh, they might pull out a victory, but I doubt it.
Eddie Kingston looked like the weakest link. You are the weakest link. Goodbye. Like, I don't know where they're going with that. I guess isn't theoretically Eddie Kingston a Impact guy? So maybe I'm a little bit wrong there.
No, he was a free agent that came. He had some time in a short stint in WWE a long time ago, I think, and and everything. Here, the story with Eddie Kingston was at the start of the pandemic, he was just an independent wrestler, and because he lost so many bookings to start the pandemic, he literally sold his ring gear to pay his bills. And so when they brought him in and signed him to a contract, I mean, he was literally on the verge of destitution, so had to buy all new stuff, which plays into the whole storyline of him stealing the Dior shoes and selling them or whatever, except he didn't sell them. But no, I understand the story they were telling with Moxley. I just don't think they told it well.
Yeah, I think it was an underperformance. Like, I suppose you could say some of the guys in the Battle Royal, again, when you have 21 competitors, it's easy to say that.
Yeah.
But I just 4 months ago, you were the AEW champion.
Yeah.
Tonight, you were kind of a bitch.
I will put a different worst performance of the night out there just because I know it'll get JLB's dander up when I say this. But fucking Max Caster's entrance performance.
I'll say it for him. Fuck you, huh?
Yeah.
However, his call out on Dustin was weak as shit.
What was it again?
His call out on Dustin.
Yeah, I know. I heard what you said. What was it again?
He's just like, dude, you're old. Well, no shit.
Oh, come on. That Christian one, though, over the edge.
Christian one was lights out. The Christian one was lights out. But the Dustin one was like, so you're just going to start shit with the other 4 guys right now? Like,
for sure.
My problem is most of his entrance ones have the most rudimentary rhyming structure. And if you're trying to play off that you're a rapper, a professional style rapper, you can't just do A-B rhyming on all of them.
But it's
sure
battling.
you can.
Of course you can. It's battle. It's like a battle rap.
No, because even battle raps don't get deeper than A-B rhyming structure.
Battle Royale rap.
Battle Royale raps. I mean, I literally, even the cheesiest celebrity battle rap TV shows, they do better than just A-B rhyming structure.
Bro, he doesn't have a lot of time here. He can't go crazy with it. So he could give you bar after bar, and then it's going to link that fourth bar.
Hold on. What do you mean he doesn't have a lot of time? You really think that they just drew those just moments before those cards?
No, I'm saying he can't be like crazy. All right, I'm going to drop him some knowledge.
I guarantee you,
I'm going to
if he
need
did
16 bars.
I guarantee you, if he did better rhyming structure, he could have gotten all of those insults out in a faster time than he did. Because here's how he delivers them now. He goes, yo, Dustin, you're old and your body's a racket. You should just hang it up and here's your bag. You can pack it. Yo.
John Cena did the same thing.
And it was shitty when John Cena did it, but the difference was
shitty.
He did it first.
And A, he did it first, and B, it being shitty was kind of the thing with John Cena. That was kind of the joke, is he was a white rapper. In a time when we wanted to vilify white rappers. We still kind of do, but that's a different thing altogether. I literally, like, there's one out of all of the times Max Caster has done his thing, there's only been like 1 or 2 that I've actually enjoyed. All the other ones, I'm like, God, get a bet.
I hope one of them you enjoyed was the Moxley one where he's saying Renee give him head or something.
I can't even remember it now, but that plays into it. Is they're not memorable long term. It's just he comes out, he goes, yo.
Yeah,
his videos are though the YouTube ones,
and that's what. Here's the deal: is I know he can do better rhyming because I've seen his YouTube videos.
So pre-write it.
So write it out and be better. That's all I'm saying. Worst performance of the night. That rap diss track was whack. This is a white boy saying that. Whack.
I still remember Moxley's promo or not Moxley, Jesus. Cena's promo on Brock Lesnar when he lost against Brock Lesnar for the title when he was still the rap artist. So
none of Max Caster's are memorable long term. So that's why it's my worst performance of the night. But if we are done, we will move on.
Yeah. Move on to
worst move.
Worst move. This is going to go to Kenny Omega. Roll up win. You're fucking Kenny Omega. You are fucking Kenny Omega. And this is how you're going to get your win is a crucifix roll up on Orange Cassidy.
You're chicken shit heel Kenny Omega. To me, that makes sense.
Then use the belt and hit him with the belt.
Well, he used the belt and hit Pac with all 4 belts already.
Yeah, that was great. No, that was earlier. That was later that he did that, but yeah.
No, it was during the match, right before the roll-up pin.
I thought it was right after. I thought it was right after.
Nope, that was the deal. Is he hit Pac with all of those and had lost track of Orange Cassidy, And when he thought he was done doing all of that, Orange Cassidy came in, hit him with the orange punch, and then tried to pin him, and then it was a reversal roll up is what it was to be, which in my opinion that's also a reversal, which is different than just a simple roll up. But I actually have beef with the hatred the internet wrestling community has against the surprise roll up overall. I think it gets undue hate. Yes, it's overused, but I think it's a legitimate way to win a match. So when used right, it can be okay. Worst move for me. This is gonna be me using the word move. Worst move for me was putting the Serena Deeb versus Riho match on the kickoff show and not on the main card, because that was a fucking fire match. And I know neither of you probably watched it. So
no, wasn't there in time.
And that's my point there. You put this fire match, frankly,
especially
Miro
when you're trying to build a women's match or women's division right now.
Yep. Well, and Miro versus Lance Archer and Cody Rhodes versus Anthony Ogogo, in my mind, both were more worthy of being on the kickoff show than Riho versus Serena Deeb. That match was really good. It helped remind us that, a little over a year and a half ago, Riho was the women's champion, right? And we've kind of forgot about her because for the longest time she couldn't get over here because, COVID. But it was a good match. So to me, worst move was not putting that on the main show. So
yeah, I gotta watch that.
It's free on YouTube, so yeah.
Oh, fair enough. Nice. Okay, worst move. Just I thought you meant like a wrestling move, but you just
that's why I said I used a play on words with it.
Okay.
Worst. I'm being pedantic.
No, fair enough.
Most people put it on wrestling, but for me,
you just got to be different, huh? I'm just teasing.
I didn't see many other moves tonight that deserve to be worst.
No, that's valid. I guess I'll just go with the pin, the roll-up pin. I don't know what else to choose, to be honest with you. I mean, the worst move is doing. No, you know what? Fine. The worst move is doing another Canadian, not a Canadian Stampede, but a Stadium Stampede. Ooh. Really didn't need another one. I feel like almost Blood and Guts might have been better.
Yeah, I would agree. Blood and Guts is probably the location to quit that. I went with physical move on the night, so
yeah. I get what you're saying. Frankly, for me, I understand what they were doing with the Stadium Stampede, but when you've got the Blood and Guts match, that really should be the payoff match too.
Because now too, okay, so you make Inner Circle win, cool story. They're still together. This also makes the Pinnacle not hardcore anymore and not a crazy heel team. I get they can maybe overcome it because MJF will just say some stupidities and we'll all be convinced. But kind of the perfect timing to break them up.
I think the play here is Shawn Spears is out of the Pinnacle.
Yeah. That's what I think the play is that Shawn Spears, you embarrassed us, you took the pin, and it was your
perhaps
ego.
Tully Blanchard's the one who kicks him out. I mean, that's a possibility too. So,
ooh.
Yep.
What did the Pinnacle lose out of this though? What was the nothing? Oh
no, there was just Pride. They didn't have a stipulation on the Pinnacle at all. It was just on. And it came by this way. Chris Jericho challenged him to a Stadium Stampede. MJF said, "Fine, we'll accept your Stadium Stampede on these terms. If we win, your team breaks up." And so, but no, I agree. The Blood and Guts match really needs to be the payoff to a feud. you know, and the fact that the feud continued after. But I also understand the Stadium Stampede started at Double or Nothing a year ago. They felt like it made a lot of sense for them to do it again here. It also did help them cover up for the fact that Chris Jericho is legitimately injured and can't do a full wrestling match right now, like a real back and forth. They had to kind of protect him there. I was a little surprised that there wasn't some more surprises in the Stadium Stampede. Like, that's the time for we had Conan show up, we had the bikers show up, you know, we had all that. But that's the time if you had a wrestler,
the Jaguars,
some of the members of the coach
Tony Khan's dad is a cutout.
As a cutout, Shad Khan. But that's the time if you had a wrestler waiting in the wings to debut, having them show up during the Stadium Stampede is a good moment, as good a moment as any. Or having him show up right after and challenge Kenny Omega would have been a good moment there too. But they didn't. I think all in all, you know, I was, if there's one thing I was disappointed with tonight overall, is they made a big deal in interviews talking about how they think they still had some surprises up their sleeves for Double or Nothing, and there really weren't any real surprises. Like Leo Rush,
kind of a surprise, but nothing, you know, overly crazy.
I'd have liked to have seen some type of title pursuit show storyline start to be sold. It didn't happen though. So,
well, you know, there's something that the old school wrestling, both WWE and WCW did a lot, was the person who was the number one contender would watch the matches of the title holder, scouting them, right? So this would have been a perfect time to have Jungle Boy come out and sit front row during the Kenny Omega match at the end, right? Because he's scouting Kenny Omega, because he's now the number one contender. He won that in the Battle Royal.
Yeah.
That could have been a nice little storyline setup for something, but they didn't. Anyways. We will go ahead and move on to the last of the worst moment of the night.
Don fucking Callis.
Yeah, just all of him.
I was pissed off. Here's the deal. I am investing in these storylines. I am emotionally invested in a title change. I've said it for a while. I am tired of legitimacy being given to titles because of title reigns. No, legitimacy is given to titles because of great performances. You can put that title on Orange Cassidy tonight, have him lose in a week in a one-on-one match, and it does not hurt the title in the least, and it boosts Orange Cassidy as an opportunist. Edge freaking had numerous times where he won the title as an opportunist and avoided losing the title as an opportunist. I'm going to find this way to not lose the title. You know, and tonight, having Don Callis play the way Don Callis played hurt them. It also is a really good way to let Kenny go do some full-time stuff with Impact. If you have Pac say, well, I was actually the one who beat Kenny Omega. I was the one who did the move. I went in on this rematch on Friday, and gets a whole bunch of people tuning in on the first time you're on Friday. You know, and so it spells a whole bunch of really good stuff to do that. And again, you can take the title off of Orange Cassidy. You've boosted Orange Cassidy a little bit. You can take the title off of him by giving it to Pac. You've still boosted Orange Cassidy. Now you have Pac there. Now you have a believable Jungle Boy win. You can easily have Kenny Omega come back and say, I ain't doing one of these 2-on-1 matches again. I'll do mine 1-on-1. And win the title in a month and a half, and it doesn't hurt anything. And then he's the first 2-time AEW champion. And oh my gosh, who better for that than Kenny Omega?
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to say Don Callis.
Damn.
I'm going to go in the same segment, but it's not Don Callis. It's Aubrey Edwards for like apparently just hanging out backstage after watching her coworker get pummeled by Kenny Omega. And then just hanging out backstage long enough for Kenny Omega to just smack the shit out of Pac over and over with the belt, and only show up after that to try to count Orange Cassidy's pin. Like,
yeah, I'll give you that.
Here's the deal, right? They've already said multiple times in a triple threat match, there's no DQ, right? So there's no reason to not have Aubrey Edwards come out right away and watch Kenny Omega use the belts, right? You can't do anything.
Not to mention, you're the head referee.
Yeah.
So, yeah, you should come out immediately the time one of your staff members gets injured.
Yep. And come out and admonish Kenny Omega, you shouldn't do that. And then stand there looking helpless as he hits Pac with belt after belt after belt, knowing you can't stop it. And then when Orange Cassidy comes in and does
you're in position to make the pin call.
Yep, you're in position to make the call. And it can be a 2 count just like it ended up being, and everything's fine. But instead, she just hung around backstage.
Somebody's trying to do a pin and the referee's down. What?
Yeah.
What? My staff is injured?
Yeah. Geez, better run in right now.
I think you guys are just being a bit harsh. Just to add suspense, clearly.
Well, I know, I get it. I just think it's bad storytelling. That being said, I also want to point out, we said at the beginning that we would have to make some stretches for the bads because there was not much bad with this pay-per-view.
Mm-hmm.
So we have to be...
The stuff that's genuinely bad about this is poorly developed storylines on a short term. It's not like the storylines don't work. They work. It's just you made a 6-chapter book into a 1-chapter book.
Yeah, well, I mean, they've had, and that's the messed up thing. They've had time to build it. It's not like they don't have a pay-per-view every month. They have a pay-per-view like every 3 months. So, yeah, I don't know. I don't think there was one storyline that I was directly really invested in. Aside from, like, not even invested, but I just wanted to really see that happen with the investment maybe with Mox and Kingston as a tag team, but not necessarily Mox and Kingston versus Bucks.
Yeah,
I was invested in the Hikarushita match.
I was really invested in the Orange Cassidy and Omega and Pac match.
I was invested.
They all hold wins over each other. That's the big part, is they all hold wins over each other.
And maybe this is the problem that comes into play with the whole ranking system, because you kind of maybe don't feel you need to tell a story because, hey, first contender is facing the champion. So here we go. That's why they're facing each other.
But they didn't have the number one contenders go after the titles tonight, after the tag titles tonight.
I'm going to use my catchphrase and say
those were the number threes. Those were the number threes. The number 2 team in the tag division was Scorpio Sky, and they said it during the match. Scorpio Sky and Ethan Page are the number 2 team in the tag division. Now they lost, but they were the number 2 team in the tag division. Which means they were only behind the Bucks. So number 2 wasn't taking on number 1.
Oh, okay, valid.
They don't always do number 2 versus number 1.
That's true.
Yeah.
That's a valid point.
So, yes. Let's see. Most recent rankings they had up have up on their website. Yes, we had number 1 and number 2, Orange Cassidy and Pac going up against Kenny Omega, but Lance Archer is not even on the list of top 5, 1 through 5, and he took on Miro, the TNT champion. So that wasn't based on rankings. Yes, Britt Baker went against Hikarushita. She's the number 1.
Number 2. Or 1 and 2. Yep.
Well, yeah. The number 1 meaning the Hikarushita is the champion. She's the number 1 contender.
Yeah. And Britt was number 2 on the rankings. Yep.
In terms of like the tag teams, like DFA was saying, number 1 contenders. Number 1 was Griff Garrison and Brian Pillman, and they were in the Casino Battle Royal, the Varsity Blondes. Number 2 contender is Scorpio Sky and Ethan Page, who were in the match versus
with an unranked team.
Yes. Number 3 is actually the Acclaimed, who were also in the Casino Battle Royal. John Moxley and Eddie Kingston are actually number 4 on the rankings. So they don't. That's what I was saying. I'm using my catchphrase. You say that, but they don't stick to the rankings very much. They really don't. In fact, that might be a big knock against AEW, that they made this big deal about rankings, wins and losses are going to matter, and then in the end, feuds
also matter.
Yeah, well, in the end, we've got Jungle Boy, who's now the number 1 contender, and he wasn't even in the top 5.
But that's the whole beauty about the Casino Royale.
That is,
right?
But that's my point. Is he's now the number 1 contender, but he has a worse record than 5 other people, at least, right?
Right.
Yeah.
And so they're not playing by the records there. By all accounts here, now that Britt Baker is the champion, by all accounts, the number 1 contender should be Thunder Rosa.
As the person who's beat her.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
as the person who beat her, she's also number 2 in the rankings right now. So she should be the one who's next up to bat. But if she is, I actually expect we're going to see Jade Cargill, Tay Conti, and maybe even Red Velvet hopscotch up and do feuds over the belt before we see Thunder Rosa again.
Yeah.
There's actually reasons to suspect that we might not see Thunder Rosa in an AEW ring for much longer, because she is an NWA contracted wrestler. And the only reason apparently that she was showing up on AEW is NWA was like, hey, because of the pandemic, we're not recording right now, so we'll let you wrestle there to keep our name out, to keep working and all that stuff. But now NWA is back up and running. Until her contract is up, they might say, hey, come back and keep and wrestle for us now. They also might say to Serena Deeb, who's the current NWA world title, hey, you need to drop that to Thunder Rosa and come back because you are not an NWA contracted wrestler.
True. Yeah, very valid.
Fun fact that somehow or another my brain didn't remember on this, but Serena Deeb was the shaved head straight edge from CM Punk's Straight Edge Society.
Serena.
Mm-hmm. I just somehow or another didn't remember that. Her hair grew back well. Maybe that's why.
Yes.
Anyways, so those are my worst moments. We're going to move on to bests now, because bests are where we're going to have a lot of fun with this. Best moment of the night overall: Sting in a ring, wrestling, winning. To me, best moment of the night.
I'm going to get more specific on that. I deeply enjoyed two people being held in submission maneuvers that were not the two legal people, or that were the two legal people in the ring, and the people performing the submission maneuvers were not legal.
Yeah, that was awesome.
And so those two started slapping each other and gouging each other's eyes. I deeply enjoyed that little piece of that segment.
And then Aubrey realizing it and saying, "Hey guys, stop with this maneuver."
And pushing Sting and Scorpio off. Good job.
There was so much I enjoyed about that match. Don't get me wrong. Like Dave Meltzer's not going to give that 7 stars, but there's so much I enjoyed about it. Sting took real bumps. I held my breath during the first one. The suplex on the ramp from Scorpio Sky. No, from Ethan Page. Page. Anyways, I literally held my breath. I was like, and Sting just popped right back up from that. I absolutely marked out, and this is the weirdest thing, but it's slightly bugged me as a Sting fan that ever since he came back, every time you've seen him,
he wears a t-shirt.
He's been wearing that baggy Sting t-shirt, and I absolutely marked out when he pulled that off. And was just in his regular Sting singlet. And him winning with the Scorpion Death Drop on Scorpio Sky.
JR's stupid comment. Oh, Scorpio. Like he was just making a correlation. Yeah. And I was just like, okay, JR, calm the fuck down.
Well, the only reason I don't give JR too much crap over that is Scorpio Sky has made it abundantly clear that Sting was one of the reasons he wanted to become a wrestler in the first place.
Mm-hmm.
So him choosing the name Scorpio Sky very well could have been as homage to
Sting,
the Scorpion Sting.
What? That's not his real name?
Wrestlers have fake names? There's a TikTok I've been following.
Hold on.
That his whole thing is finding out that wrestlers aren't real names, isn't what they wrestle by. Pretty funny. Anyway, so that's me. Best moment of the night. You could take your pick out of moments in that, but just the whole thing, the pop the crowd had for Sting wrestling and then winning, was great. Was perfect. I don't think it hurt Ethan Page and Scorpio Sky in the least. In fact, they both look like rock stars in the match. I do have to give them a ton of credit. I mean, Ethan Page yeeting Darby Allin across the gap into the crowd from the ring. Like I knew Ethan Page is a strong guy because he's a professional wrestler. He takes good care of his body. Yada yada yada. I didn't know he had the strength to just chuck a guy 8 feet in the air.
Yeah, you got to give some of that to Darby too, though. I felt like he almost pushed himself a little bit more too. Although he was being thrown, it was
a gorilla press throw. There wasn't much Darby could do to push. So
that's true. Yep.
He pulled himself a little bit during the throw because he grabbed the rope and pushed off. It's not a lot, but it was something to help. So. But I'm sorry, I have to stand up. I'm very, very tired tonight, so I have to keep moving.
Pleased to meet you. Very, very tired tonight. I'm Kate.
Officer Mark Smarks.
I just had to laugh because I'm a dad and I play dad jokes.
So we're at best moment.
Best moment. You can, if you look at the screen, you can see the little ticker going across it.
Fair. Yep. My best moment probably, honestly, would have to be the just Miro looking overly dominant. I thought that was just great for him. I was happy for him. He looked extremely strong, and just seeing what the future of Miro holds, I was kind of a really compelling story with how they're building him up. So I think that's kind of my best moment, to be honest with you.
There's lots of really good moments. I mean, who didn't fall in love knowing with Jungle Boy all over again?
Oh, for sure.
Yeah, I love that Miro was dominant. Britt Baker finally getting her title. Tony Schiavone, who's been her bitch, going up and having Stockholm syndrome, giving her a hug.
Yeah,
you know.
that was, in all honesty, a very, very sweet moment. Like knowing that outside of storyline, outside of kayfabe, they're actually good friends, and how much that probably meant to Britt Baker for her good friend to come and
give her a hug
and congratulate her immediately following this huge moment for her. Legitimately a great moment. So yeah, that was a good moment. I mean, it wasn't as good as Sting in his first live one-on-one match in 6 years, but it was good. It was good. Make sure to let us know what you think were the best and worst parts of the night in the comments on the video or on social media at Raw and Order WBU on pretty much any of the social medias. Let us know. So,
yeah.
Other
best. Are you just stopping with best moment? That's it?
Nope. We're moving on to breakout star of the night.
Boy, you want to say Orange Cassidy, don't you? But then Leo Rush has what Leo Rush did.
Yeah.
Leo Rush was so hated before, so incredibly hated before. And he was so, again, only a couple minutes, so incredibly impressive during that time. I'm going to go with Leo Rush. I know that this is easy to put on other people too.
Mm-hmm. My nominee for it is actually Jungle Boy.
Sting. Oh, no. Jungle Boy. Okay.
Jungle Boy being the breakout star. Now, it's tough to say that because he's been a star for a while, right? I mean,
he's even had a title shot.
But this was in many ways his coming out party, and for him to win in the fashion he did over a Hall of Famer at the end, was a big deal, I think. So for me, breakout star of the night, I think, is Jungle Boy. I think he leapfrogged up from mid-card tag team member to upper card single star. Right.
Where was the rest of his teammates though? I felt like Luchasaurus wasn't there.
They came out afterwards.
Oh, they
celebrated with him. Yeah.
Okay, fair. Yeah.
But they did not participate in anything, which surprised me that they weren't in anything. But
no, that's it. So mine, I honestly think Jungle Boy. Jungle Boy makes complete sense to me. I was gonna say Leo Rush, but I was just so disappointed how quick he was out of the match. I was like, no, you make a big deal about him being the Joker. This guy's absolutely phenomenal. He's killing it in the ring, and then he just gets removed by Christian. Like, or make it at least someone who you're gonna feud him against. I don't want him against Christian. Like, no. Might be good, maybe, but I mean, I don't know.
Yeah. Well, I mean, in the grand scheme of things, we don't know for certain if he's signed full-time long-term. But
this is true.
I sure would like to see him, because here's the deal. WWE, while yeah, he was fun to watch as Lashley's spokesperson. They kind of treated him dirty because he is a very, very talented wrestler, and just being Lashley's bitch didn't show that off very well.
Well, then he did NXT for a bit too, no?
He did do NXT for a short. Well, he did NXT first, and then he went back to it for a short period of time. But then he got let go, and so and here's the deal: is I know there was reportedly backstage issues that rubbed people the wrong way that might have played into him getting let go, and hopefully he's cleared those up. But
yeah, it was backstagey stuff that caused the issue. So,
but and that's the deal. Is I really like Leo Rush, and I'm happy to see him here. I just don't think he had enough time there to really be a breakout star sort of thing. I do know that Anthony Gogo is not the breakout star of the night.
no.
He's such a beast. When he just terrorized Cody Rhodes, he looked amazing. Like I think it was a few Dynamites ago, or maybe last Dynamite even. But he just looked like a savage. He was crazy good. I don't know if pinning him against Cody was the best move for his career.
Like I said before, I think him going up against Cody could have been the best move for his career, and Cody made him look really good. Here's the tough thing with him is we literally don't know how good he actually is in the ring, because the only match that we've seen him in is against Cody, and Cody's a good enough hand to make almost anyone look good. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I can't believe you just called Cody a good hand.
A good hand, yeah.
Mind-boggling.
Or is it hand-boggling?
Oh, bling-cha.
But I think in the end, I think having him run, I think they really should have had Anthony Gogo do a run over a bunch of little guys first.
Yeah, give him like the Lance Archer approach there.
Mm-hmm. The Goldberg, you know.
Yeah. Well, I just say Lance Archer because they did that with Lance Archer.
The one thing that bugs me with Anthony Gogo, and this is going to be me being pedantic, in some ways, is I'm old school with my wrestling rules concept of punches not being allowed. That you have to hit with an open fist, and then you bring a guy in, and his whole gimmick is he punches really hard, and it just bugs me. Always will.
You know who looks like who could have? Now I'm maybe backtracking here, but kind of like Breakout Star 2 is, I don't know. I really like the style, and I don't know where I've seen him. Maybe he was always on Dark, but he was in the Casino Royale match. Amoda. I think he was the second suit. He's like some bulky big dude. I feel like it was long hair, beard.
Naga.
You're talking
Nick Moda
Nick
or something?
Camarado.
Oh, that's it.
Yeah. Nick Camarado is relatively new to AEW. Okay. He was one of the people cut by WWE last year. He was an NXT wrestler, I believe. Nick Camarado is, I believe, his real name. But he wrestled in NXT as Nick Ogarali. And like I said, he was one of the people cut last April. He didn't wrestle a ton, and he was developmental. Okay. And so then he came in, and mostly he's been wrestling, been training with Cody Rhodes and
he's part of the Factory people?
Part of the Nightmare Factory, yeah. QT Marshall. And so when the whole QT Marshall storyline came up, he was one of the people who joined QT Marshall side. He's got a good look.
Yeah.
And he did look good in the match as a beast. So I mean that's something that I could get behind, the idea of him being breakout star of the night.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I'm just really not a fan of the whole Nightmare Factory. I feel like there's a lot of good players in the factory, if you will, but I just don't like that group. I kind of feel like that group just kind of holds them back at being better.
I think
they're developmental.
God, I'm gonna get such heat for this. I think QT Marshall is what holds them back.
Ooh.
QT Marshall is a phenomenal trainer. He's a decent in-ring performer, but I don't think he's got what it takes to be a solo leader of a feud, right?
QT Marshall is the Natalia of AEW.
That is a very good way to put it.
Yeah,
and the fact that he's got the Nightmare Factory, Anthony Gogo, Nick Camarado, and Aaron Solo. Aaron Solo was also in the Battle Royal. Very short term in the Battle Royal. They made an announcement because QT Marshall had a shoulder injury or whatever.
Right.
Aaron Solo was going to take his spot. And Aaron Solo came in and I think got eliminated within a minute, if even that.
Wow.
Like just in and out sort of a thing. But I think it's twofold. I think DA Fabe is right. They're developmental. And that's the whole point. They were training at the Nightmare Factory. They were brought on to AEW Dark to help out there. And because the QT Marshall feud came up, they suddenly got thrown into the spotlight. And Anthony Ogogo and Nick Camarado and Aaron Solo just might not be ready for the prime time yet with this.
Okay, that's fair.
And Nick Camarado might be the most ready of the three of them. But like I say, I think AEW wants us to be saying Anthony Ogogo breakout star of the night because he looked so good, but I don't think he looked good enough to be breakout star of the night. I think that match was a B- match, maybe a C match, in the grand scheme of things. And I don't think it would have been that match if anyone other than Cody had been doing it. Right.
And well, I don't know. At the same time, I think the commentators always mentioning on his visual impairment was freaking stupid too. Like, let the guy just wrestle. He's supposed to be a monster. You're not supposed to like give him this. Oh, he only wrestles with 30% of his vision. Like, stop. He's supposed to be like a monster. He's supposed to be a bad guy. Like, don't show sympathy. Like, I get it. It's a sympathetic situation and it's a unique story. Sure, you want to work on that, but he's a bad guy. This is
but Impact doesn't do that with Crazy Steve nonstop.
True.
Not unrelentingly. Does not.
Yeah.
And yeah, I get that. I think the fact that his eye impairment has been in the news kind of made them feel like they had to talk about it. And I don't think they did, but that's a different thing altogether there. So I do want to take a moment and go back into one of the worsts. This is a complaint I've had against AEW's Casino Battle Royal since the beginning. The format of it, I know why they're doing it. They want to be different. They want to have a different look and a different feel than WWE, the Battle Royals with the Royal Rumble, for lack of a better term. But having the people enter 5 at a time just makes for an absolute nightmare jumble, right? Either you give every single one of them their full entrances like we did this year, at which point this whole every 3 minutes 5 more people enter is not true, because it's every 3 minutes you get 4 minutes of people entering and then 3 minutes until the next people enter. Or like last year where they did it, They announced the 5 people, and they just all kind of came out as a group, and then no one got an entrance. And that's just a testament as to why WWE does it the way they do it. You have individual entrances where they get announced, their music plays, they get to show up, and then they run straight to the ring.
Well, and here's the problem too. They also have issues with playing because then they were playing the music for too long. Mm-hmm. Like the guy was in the ring, he was fighting, and I'm still hearing his music. I'm like, well, this is kind of weird. And then the other person comes out. Like, yeah, they gotta definitely work on that. I think it's more of a production thing.
Well, it's a production, but it's just by the format. By having 5 people in each group, you're inherently not going to be able to feature their entrances properly one way or another.
Right, for sure.
And so I think instead, if you did it where they came out one at a time, but their order was determined by their suit, or heck, you even play it out their suit and their number. So the ace of spades comes out last, but the 2 of spades comes out first, or whatever. You know what I mean? You then get to separate yourself from the Royal Rumble a bit, but still have people have individual entrances without this huge weird gap.
Just have a blackjack tournament beforehand. What a great pre-show.
Poker Stars AEW edition.
Yes.
And also, I don't know if it was just JR stupidity or if just they don't know. I think when clubs came up, they were like, I guess that's clubs. And I was like,
yeah, it was the very first thing, and you don't know that that's clubs.
Like, and
odd.
And I get it. It was kind of a weird club too, because I was thinking that. But for the commentators, I'm like, guys, you have notes though. You know it's the fucking clubs. Like, you don't have to. I guess that's club. Like, you have to give your legitimacy to your product here. Like, come on.
Well, maybe they were. Maybe they were giving legitimacy to themselves because they genuinely didn't know what that shape was. But. Because it did have a bunch of swirlies in it and stuff, but come on, man.
Well, you knew it wasn't hearts or diamonds, that's for sure. You knew it's got to be spades or clubs. But
it was either a really curvy spade or a really fucked club.
Yeah. I think if you want to stick with this casino battle royal, instead of doing this 5 at a time thing, you set it up as a jackpot, as a slot machine, right? All of their names are going to be on the slot machine, and it counts down 90 seconds or 30 seconds or whatever, and then the slot machine shows up on the screen, and the handle gets pulled, and it goes ding, 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 Jungle Boy. And then Jungle Boy comes out. And
I need to hear those sound effects again just so I can be clear about them.
Ding, ding, ding. Jungle Boy.
Perfect. Just wanted to make sure that I had those correct in my head.
Should that be a t-shirt? Dink, 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 Jungle Boy.
I mean, it'd be
dink,
hard.
dink, dink, Jungle Boy. That's the whole shirt. Dink, 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 Jungle Boy.
Yeah. I think we'll get sued for that.
Dink, dink, dink.
Law and Order,
Tarzan
WBU.
Boy.
So we'll go ahead and move on to best performance of the night, which is not the same as breakout star, because this includes people who are already stars and just had a great performance. So anyone? Anyone?
Well, I don't know. I mean, somebody else used Jungle Boy as their breakout star, so I guess that wouldn't count as the best performance of the night.
Well, no, it's anyone. It's breakout stars or legitimate.
Still can be the breakout star and best performance. I'm just saying it's not limited to just a breakout star. This could be anyone. Like, I couldn't have said breakout star of the night was Kenny Omega because he's the world fucking champion. But I can say best performance of the night if I wanted to. I'm not saying that. He had a great performance, but it's not my pick for best performance.
Yeah, we all know you're going with Sting.
Surprisingly enough, I am not.
Oh, okay.
It's Sting!
Dang!
Yeah, I'm probably gonna have to go with Miro again. I felt his power. Like, I don't know, he was good. Like, I really enjoyed that match. I was really into how much of a beast he was. So I'm probably gonna have to go.
Dang.
Yeah.
I'm not going with Sting.
Or Miro.
Or Miro. No. I'm torn with exactly who I'm going to go with. Part of me thinks it's either Orange Cassidy or Pac, because their performances during that were great. But I also think that Britt Baker deserves being called out for a phenomenal performance too.
Absolutely.
Hikarushita's performance was great as well, but I really enjoyed Britt Baker's and well deserved win there. So I don't know. What do you guys think? One of those three, or
Sammy Guevara.
Sammy Guevara, you think best performance?
I had more emotional involvement in Sammy Guevara than I've ever had in my life.
Oh well.
I genuinely loved. I have given two shits about that storyline until tonight, and I was all in on, no pun intended, on Sammy Guevara tonight.
Yeah. Okay. I mean, it's valid. I just felt he's done crazier performances, but I mean, at the same time, you weren't necessarily a huge Sammy Guevara fan, so that's awesome that this one took the cake for you.
Well, I agree. He's done crazier performances. I think sometimes, and maybe I'm speaking out of turn for DA Fabe, but I think sometimes crazy performance is not the way to win over DA Fabe. A more restrained yet still very, very good performance, right? There were so many little things about the same.
I would say an emotional performance.
And
that's exactly what we got tonight out of him.
Yeah. I mean, the simple fact is Jeff Hardy has done crazy, crazy, crazy performances, but rarely was I emotionally tied to any of his performances. Right?
That's valid.
Yeah, I mean, the Undertaker feud for Jeff Hardy was where Sammy Guevara was for me. When you didn't break me. Tonight he got retribution against the dude who tried to get him kicked out of his group of friends, and most importantly, set himself up to be the leader of that group when Jericho goes on tour. Sammy Guevara is going to be the head of a group, which is really cool.
Yeah. And the thing is, I think they played with this. Sammy Guevara does crazy shit a couple times in that match. Because remember, last year, he was the one who took the pin from Kenny Omega. Right?
Yep.
And since then, he did the ill-advised scissor lift spot that nearly injured Matt Hardy. There was a lot of things that have happened since then that he's done that were crazy spots. And like in this one here, they walked by scissors lifts a couple times, right? Kind of teasing that, but they didn't do anything. And then there was that scene, they were in one of the equipment rooms, and he set Sean Spears up on a platform, and he climbed up really high on a scaffolding thing, like he was going to jump off. And then Sean Spears just fucked out of there, and he climbed down, right? So I think they played with this. He's going to do crazy shit. But in the end, he won because he didn't do the crazy shit, except for the beautiful 630.
Right. Yeah, that's valid.
And in a way, that might be the storyline that they're telling, is that he realizes that he doesn't have to do the crazy shit. He just has to do the good shit.
You bring out the crazy shit when you have to. In a match with Kenny Omega, Orange Cassidy, Pac, something like that, or where Moxley continues to kick out over and over and over again. If he's in one of those matches, yeah, you might have to go that far. You didn't have to beforehand.
Yeah. So I don't disagree with Sammy Guevara. He was someone that I thought about, but I don't know. Just as a whole performance, Britt Baker's that match from beginning to end was fire.
Yes, it was. Yes.
And the Pac and Orange Cassidy parts of that main event were great. I mean, Pac does a kip up smoother than anyone I've ever seen. Like, he's on his back and suddenly he's on his feet. And it looks like there was no effort whatsoever in it, right? Everyone else does a kip up, even like Hangman Page or Orange Cassidy. And there's like a whole, like, I have to do this effort. And then they land on their feet and they're like, they have to stand straight up or whatever. And Pac is just like, boop, I'm up.
Chiseled from stone is what that dude is.
And he was a cruiserweight in WWE and wasted.
Yep. Yeah, so much talent was there. And we all kind of saw it because he would still do crazy things in the ring. But man, WWE just didn't use him. So disappointing.
Well, I mean, it is a little unfair to rag on WWE too much for it because he was a cruiserweight in WWE, and then they fired him, and he went off and got fucking yoked.
Also legit.
Oh, that's true.
Swole up, and he legitimately looks a heavyweight now.
True.
So I might, as much as I want to give it to Britt Baker, I might put it on Pac. I think overall the performance from Pac was good. And, in the end, it was a triple threat match. We knew someone was set up to take the pinfall to try to protect someone else. And in the end, it was Orange Cassidy is, in a way, protected Pac. Pac now can still legitimately say, you didn't pin me. I want my match.
The other piece to Orange Cassidy is he looked like the weakest performer in that match, beginning to end. He looked like a guy who was looking for the kill switch, the orange punch. And that's it. If I can get this move, I win. But if I can't get this move, I am not the best performer out here.
Yeah, I felt like that's all he was kind of doing between his hands in his pockets and then that Superman punch or orange punch, whatever. Like, I think we all knew going into it he was going to be the weakest wrestler in that match, though. Like, Pac and Omega, come on. Like, those two are probably one of the top 5 most talented people in the world and most certainly in AEW, so.
Yeah,
would be kind of hard, but again though, Cassidy did really good. Orange Cassidy did really good to stand up against those two.
He just looked the weakest of the group.
But what you have to remember is his storyline is always based on him being the underdog, right? Being the underdog and underestimated.
True. And
that's the way his storyline was set up for this. I mean, effectively, they were saying you might be the number 1 contender, but Pac's really the guy who should be facing Kenny Omega. You're really not the person who should be facing Kenny Omega. Here, sign this contract and you can get a match later against Kenny Omega.
Yeah.
But we will go ahead and move on to underhype of the night. This is kind of like the surprise of the night. What laid underneath everything and you didn't think was going to be as good, or the surprise that kind of came out. I mean, yeah, it really could have been one of those things where they could have spent the last month building up who will the Joker be.
Yeah, Casino Battle Royale would probably have to be from Jungle Boy winning to the Joker being Leo Rush. These two things I just didn't see going into it at all.
Well, especially considering 2 weeks ago, I don't think we even knew for certain there was going to be a Casino Battle Royal.
Oh, yeah, there is that. Yeah.
Which I think is a shame. I mean, that's a Double or Nothing staple. They just, I mean, that's like the Royal Rumble. You don't ever get to the pay-per-view in WWE and be like, oh, by the way, there's a Royal Rumble at this pay-per-view. What?
And yeah, I think that's AEW just not promoting their stuff again properly. Like they seem to legitimately have a huge issue with that. I hear more about AEW's ranting on WWE and Tony Khan's promo against NJPW and WWE, but I don't hear anything about their actual product, which says a lot.
I don't know. I see a lot about their product. They pitch it all over the place. Their social media is fire with it. I think here's what it came down to with the Casino Battle Royal. I think they legitimately didn't know if they were going to be doing it until a few weeks ago.
Very true too.
And I think a lot of it came down to, are we going to have enough talent who can make it in and do this? And I think it shows by the fact that they had 2 people scratch last minute. And they had to suddenly throw in 2 Nightmare Factory people. Although they had Chuck Taylor and Trent just sitting around there and didn't use them. They had Luchasaurus sitting around and didn't use them. Then Marco Stunt. The Casino Battle Royal is something that's like built for Marco Stunt, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So little tiny wiry guy. So
I'm gonna throw a side ball to this, even though it was heavily hyped, because of how fire this was. I'm gonna call it the underhype of the night, and that is live fans. That was incredible. They were so involved. You really don't know how to embrace that until you actually missed it for a year. Even WrestleMania did not give us that level of just amped up. That was fantastic.
Yes. Well, and there are a couple things that play into it. The chants were organic. Yes. And it's one of those things that it felt so refreshing to hear. Organic, this is awesome. Organic.
Instead of piped in.
During the Sheeta versus Britt Baker match.
I think that was the loudest.
Let's go, Sheeta, DMD. Let's go, Sheeta, DMD. And that's something that we haven't been getting for a year. And yes, it was phenomenal. As the WWE marks have been ranting for months about AEW, air quotes, forcing their wrestlers at ringside to sing along with Judas when Chris Jericho entered.
At the end, that was legit.
This was legitimately 5,000 fans singing at the top of their lungs to Judas.
Judas in my mind.
This wasn't AEW forcing anyone to do it. This is and that's the reason that they had people doing it during the pandemic, is because it had legitimately become a thing the fans did. It was an organic thing. But to have it organically happen with real fans, I think fans are definitely a good get for this.
And AEW has not shouted it from the rooftops like WWE did.
We have fans.
They were, we're gonna have, this is our first live fans. This is our first live fans. This is our first live fans. But it wasn't. This is gonna be so much different with fans here. Oh my gosh, it was so much different with fans there. And so even though it had been hyped, it had not been hyped nearly as much as what it was, the value that they genuinely provided to those of us at home.
Yes. So yeah, that's a good pick. That's a good pick. I don't know if I can argue against that one. So we will go ahead and move on to the oh my god moment of the night. Was there anything that made you just absolutely just jaw drop? Oh, I can't believe they did that.
I have a couple negative ones, but I'm not going to do that. Oh my God. Please, somebody take the microphone away from JR. Please. Oh my God.
And every time he says it, like you could tell he's saying something stupid and he knows it's something stupid. And then he's like, well, at least to me, like, JR, this doesn't make it better. Like, I know you're trying to be objective with your analysis, but then when you say something stupid, you make it like a subjective thing. Like, it's stupid. Like,
oh my God, don't say that. Okay, you said it. Now, on the positive, oh my God, moments of the night, the BTE triggers over and over to Moxley were pretty cool. Oh my God. Mm-hmm. Some of the move sequences that Pac pulls off were significantly oh my God. The fact that they did a cinematic rolling into the real match and still had everybody look like they were exhausted was fantastic in the Stadium Stampede. And so that plays a little bit on the underhype of the night with the fans being there. Mad props to have a cinematic match that rolls into the finale in the ring.
Well, and that's I think that plays into just the we never want to act like we're just going to give Tony Khan all sorts of credit for everything. But I do think this plays into the mindset of Tony Khan, knowing that we have fans here now. That finale, that ending to that Stadium Stampede match has to happen in front of the fans. No ifs, ands, or buts about it, right?
Yep.
Doesn't matter what we do. We can't, we can't set up the big one-winged angel through the platform in the stadium like we did last year. This has to happen in the ring in front of the fans. And that's ring awareness, wrestling awareness that Tony Khan has that I think can't be under at least appreciated. So
yeah.
There were quite a few oh my God moments during the Kenny Omega match that were, I can't believe someone kicked out of that.
Yeah.
Oh my God moments.
The reversal of the one-winged angel
into the brutalizer.
Yeah, that was incredible. I was like, oh, you just went to your finisher, like this is awesome. And Omega just walking around with it for what felt like eons, but I know it was like 12 seconds, but still. That was very cool. But
I think it was also, honestly, I think just that match in general was an oh my God moment, because I believe this was also the match where they did a superplex, or someone was attempting to do a superplex, and then the other guy comes in and oh no, maybe I'm thinking of it being a Lance Archer match, but then it was supposed to be a superplex, but then he's still on the ropes. The other guy then comes in and gives him like a German suplex or something.
That was this match. Kenny Omega was trying to set Orange Cassidy up for a avalanche one-winged angel off the top rope.
Yep.
And Orange Cassidy was able to hook his feet on the ropes so that Kenny Omega couldn't get him up for it. And Pac jumps up and does a release German suplex off the middle rope.
It's crazy. He's so talented.
Leo Rush's Poison Rana was in that category. That was on an athletic person, but it was such a little dude performing that on such a much, much larger person. And I don't remember who he did it to, but it was lights out. It was a member of Private Party if I remember correctly.
There were a couple almost oh my god moments during the Hangman Page versus Brian Cage match. But I don't know if, I mean, none of them were like so far out of there that I think they belong in this. I do have to say, to me, the oh my god moment was Scorpio Sky trying to do the slingshot cutter and getting caught by Sting straight into the Scorpion Death Drop for the win.
Oh, that was cool. Yeah.
Was really cool to me. Just because, like, I legitimately thought Scorpio Sky had hit it. Right, he slingshotted in. It looks like he hit the cutter, and then it took my brain a moment to process. Wait, no, Sting didn't go down. Sting held the rope. He's got him in the Scorpion Death Drop. Oh my god! So that's at least one I want to put there as well.
That was a good one too.
So, related best move, best singular move. Doesn't have to be the move that made you go, oh my god, but it does have to be the move that made you go, wow.
Reversal to the Brutalizer.
That's a good one.
That I honestly, between that and Pac German suplex.
Oh, anytime you have Omega in the ring, that dragon suplex is Zabaha.
Nah,
it's so good. He has that perfected down to a T.
But it's almost, you'd have to say it every single match. It's so good, but you'd have to say it every single match.
I feel like even Nick Ramato's bell hit to Dustin Rhodes was pretty crazy too. Like, it felt like a legit shoot hit. I think he hit him with the bell though, like the bull bell.
Yeah.
Yep.
But I mean, nothing crazy. It just felt like it was a crazy hit.
Kind of an oh my god moment worth at least putting in. I don't know whether it's best move or oh my god. 4 different belt hits to Pac's head.
Different.
Just going through each of the belts. Like, here's the TNA belt. Here's the Impact belt. Here's the AAA Mega Champion belt. Now here's the AEW.
AEW Championship.
Worth putting on the best move. Britt Baker's curb stomp to
onto the belt.
Onto the
belt. Yes.
That's at least worth talking about.
And Hikarushita kicking out of it.
Mm-hmm. And then getting put in the fucking lockjaw and tapping out.
There's a lot of good matches. It was like I don't know what it was. I think maybe I'm just tired or whatever, or the last main event, the co-main event tired me out, and then after that I couldn't deal with the Stampede. But they had all the majority of the matches were really decent. Like, they were good. So yeah.
That's why I said we had a harder time with the worst for this, because even the worst match of the night was still a good match.
Yeah.
So this was such a good pay-per-view. I really, really enjoyed it. But we will go ahead and move on to match of the night. Which one was the absolute best? Which was the banger of all bangers?
Damn.
I'll go first. Britt Baker, Hikarushita.
It's a good pick.
There's not a wrong pick on this night.
No.
I mean, there is. If you say Cody Rhodes versus Anthony Gogo, you're wrong. I mean, that's just 100% not the best match of the night. But yeah, you could legitimately try to make an argument that the Young Bucks versus Moxley and Kingston was the best match. I wouldn't agree with it, but
no, I wouldn't.
You could make an argument of it. You could make an argument that Ethan Page and Scorpio Sky versus Sting and Darby Allin was the best match of the night. It did tell one of the better storylines of the match.
Correct.
Of the night. I personally, as much as I like Sting and as much as I liked the match as a whole, it's not the best match of the night for me, but you could make an argument. You could make an argument that the opening match, Hangman Page versus Brian Cage, was best match of the night because it was fire.
I I gotta go watch that somehow now.
But I probably will be along the same lines and say Hikarushita versus Britt Baker, my favorite match of the night. The Kenny Omega versus Orange Cassidy one overall was on its way to potentially being it. The ending for it is probably what stops it for me. Not that I hate the ending, more that the ending took away from the match.
The hard part about Kenny Omega, Orange Cassidy, and Pac is the standard is set incredibly high. That bar is incredibly high. And because that bar is incredibly high, sometimes we don't give it the credit it deserves. It would probably be a very, very close number 2.
Yes. And like you say, to me, we didn't really talk about it a lot, but let's talk about it now. The finish to that match saw first Orange Cassidy came in and with a brilliant underdog move threw Pac out of the ring after Pac had already hit his finisher on Kenny Omega, and then goes to pin Kenny Omega, and Don Callis comes out, pulls the ref out of the ring, stopping the count. But that's not the finish. That's just the setup to the finish. The finish then happens a little bit later, where you've got a submission happening in the ring. Kenny Omega trying to break up the submission, realizing he can't, so instead he attacks the referee, beats the tar out of poor Bryce Remsburg for a bit, and then goes apeshit on Pac, and with 4 different shots to the head, and then still almost loses to Orange Cassidy before getting that roll-up win. And as a whole, I feel like that probably just brought down the match as a whole. Like, if it had ended in less schmozzy of a way, I might have put that one as match of the night.
That said, I think if you had Orange Cassidy win, forget about it. It would have just been crazy. Underdog wins, best match of the night. We'd all be wondering what's going to happen on Friday. I think you're right. So I think we're in agreement, fellas. I think we're going with Brit versus Hikarushita because that was a really great match too.
I think you still could have had Kenny Omega win, and I think you could have had him win in much the same way, just without the ref attack and all that. So,
I think the ref attack though sells something on Pac. It sells that Pac can get kicked in the head, and so deeply wants this title that he continued to hold the submission, and that Orange Cassidy so deeply wanted the title that he wasn't going to tap to the submission.
I think they still could have sold that without the ref attack. And I think they could have sold it in the same way that they ended up doing it. Kenny Omega comes in, realizes that he can't get Pac to release the thing, even with a couple kicks to the head. So he calls to his buddy outside the ring, Don Callis. Don Callis throws in one of the belts.
And then he starts beating.
Kenny Omega starts beating him Pac up with the belts. Bryce Remsburg then stands there and he's like, I can't stop him because there's no DQ in this match.
Yeah.
All I can do is say, don't do that. You did it again. Don't do it again. You did it again. And then you take this whole, I beat up the referee. The referee lays there like he's dead. We wait for another referee to come in to call the thing. The ending of the match still could have effectively been the same. Just without the ref fit. But anyway, we're in agreement. Britt Baker versus Hikarushita, match of the night. Phenomenal match. Loved it. They're definitely doing a lot to build up that women's division. So one of all of these we agreed.
Yep.
But we nailed it.
Nailed it. Just like MJF did, but he didn't hit anything.
Tony Khan's dad's desk.
Yeah, hit the desk once. So was old. It was a real hammer. So, probably my only disappointment overall with this is, I think I said before that there wasn't like that big surprise. Like Lio Rush was a surprise, but they kind of sold it like we're gonna have a big surprise. Like maybe Bryan Danielson's gonna show up or something like that.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking of too. I was like, oh man, it's gonna be Daniel Bryan.
That being said, much like WWE likes to do, it could be they're holding their big surprise for their televised show, because WWE likes to hold their big surprises off from WrestleMania and instead have them in the match right after, or the Raw right after WrestleMania. So we'll see.
WWE doesn't do that anymore. So,
well, WWE doesn't have any surprises to pull anymore. They cut all their talent.
It's a valid point. It's sad, but true.
Their surprises are Eva Marie,
who apparently will lose every match that she has to help support other women superstars.
I actually heard it was even more that she wasn't actually going to wrestle. She was mostly going to be like managerial. And so that really doesn't go so far to support DA Fabe's contention that her wrestling skill will be much improved.
Stop.
Yeah. But on that note, we're going to start to wrap things up for this. We don't want this podcast, this live stream, to be as long as the pay-per-view. And it's late. And even though tomorrow's a holiday here in the States, we still got stuff to do tomorrow. And so
I live in Canada, so I still work.
Yeah. Oh, there are still a lot of Americans that work tomorrow. I'm just fortunate to be on the list of ones that don't. But as much as we like to pretend that everyone gets Memorial Day off, there are a lot of businesses that are still open on Memorial Day.
Yeah, for sure.
A lot of them.
Everybody gets holiday pay, though.
Yeah. But anyways, make sure to check out all the links in the doobly-doos below. It's going to have all of that stuff down there for our socials and our Patreon and our merch store. All of that stuff down there so you can support us in those ways. Make sure to like, share, and subscribe. We mentioned that before. Head on over to tatnisco.com and see what they got there. And all of that. You can follow us on the social media. You can follow me at Raw and Order WBU. Pretty much any of them. You can follow DA Fabe at
DA Vincent K. Fabe on Twitter.
Right there on Twitter. And then you can follow JLB at
JLB420. Real Talk Radio is the brand. At Real Talk Radio 8. Anchor.fm/RTR. I've been slacking, but I'm in school, and I think school is more important at the moment. So I will get to everything shortly. If you do want something ASAP, please don't hesitate to bitch at me at Real Talk Radio 8, and I will be sure to be motivated to put it up.
Yes. See, I went ahead and put your thing up on screen here so that people can see your Twitter handles there. Ain't I a nice guy?
Very nice.
Yeah.
Too kind.
Nice guy.
Nice guy.
I'm pointing at you
without his camera on.
Yeah. Yeah, it's late. I'm not going to turn my camera on.
Best in the world. What happened there?
That I don't know what's going on there.
He's got a man.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Anywho. But yeah, if you have anything to say, if you have some thoughts on it, tweet at us or hit us up on social media or go ahead and leave a comment on this. We'd love to hear what you guys thought.
Here's my comment.
Yeah, there you go.
Oh, there he is.
Yeah.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah.
I just thought he pre-recorded all of his douchebaggery.
Yeah, that's what it all was. He was just sitting there. He didn't want to turn the camera on because he was sitting there with a digital tape recorder, just pressing play anytime we said worst match of the night. It was But yeah, make sure to tune in later this week for our FBI fantasy booking episode. Going to be Tuesday night at 10:30 Central as well. So, but we're going to go ahead and close the book on the wrestling booking unit. Thank you all for joining us, and we will see you soon.
Deuces.
Yeah. Bye-bye.
Ciao.